band of musicians is playing drums while some possessed girls are dancing in front of a woman sitting on her knees. She says while sitting, "I offer these dancing girls to the magnificent ruler of this woods. I request you to pick one of these dancing girls. Actually, there lives a witch in this village who wants these innocent villagers to offer a bunch of dancing girls at regular intervals, and then the witch picks one of them for her slavery." One by one, the dancing girls begin to fall after getting exhausted, but there remains a dancing girl named Ingrid still standing, and she is the daughter of this woman, and this girl has been chosen by the witch. So the woman begins to get away through a forest with the small box containing something very evil. The woman reaches Ingrid, the chosen girl, and asks her to bring that ominous object out of the village as far as possible. She coerces Ingrid into fleeing from there as quickly as possible. A shaman named Buyut helps Ingrid escape from the village with the box. The shaman asks Ingrid to run and not look back, no matter what happens. Holding a lantern in her hand, Ingrid strives to get out of the village in this dark night, but she falls rolling and hits her head against a boulder lying there, causing her head to bleed. In this mischance, the box also falls to the ground, but Ingrid immediately picks it up. In the meantime, the witch appears from behind and demands Ingrid not to take her bangle out of the village. The witch orders her to return it to her right now, but Ingrid doesn't listen to her and continues her escape while the witch says, screaming, "Don't take it out of the village," and the scene cuts here. 25 years later, in 1980, we see a beautiful girl named Mila with her cousins Yuda and Arya. They all have come in search of a village where there lives dancing girls. When Arya and Yuda meet their old friend, Mila heads into the nearby local market to explore the town. While exploring the market, Mila arrives at a place where she finds an old hag chopping the flesh. The hag requests Mila in a crying voice not to go there, as it is going to be very dangerous to her. Just then, Yuda arrives there and brings her back to her senses. The trio shows the drawing of the village to a guide named Jito and asks him if he knows where that village is. The guide tells them that he has neither seen such a place nor ever heard of it, but Yoda forces Jito to remember if he has seen or heard about such a village, full of dancing girls. After racking his brains, Jito, the guide, states that he heard about such a village some time ago. He tells the trio that that village is often called the Dancing Village because still today, a lot of dancers live there and it is far away from here. Moreover, that village is situated in the middle of the forest, and if we go there, we may be lost. But Yoda brings him around to go there by giving him some money. All of them, boarding a car, set out for the village. Soon, they reach there and see the forest, in the middle of which the village is situated. While passing through the bridge, they see that someone has put an offering at the entrance of the bridge, which makes them astonished a bit. Upon reaching the entrance of the forest, both Mila and Yoda find offerings at ruined pillars of the entrance, causing them to look at each other. Now everyone arrives at the village and finds some girls dancing. Jito stops and tells one of the girls of the village that they have to meet the elder of the village. The girl tells them that their elder just died. The girl asks Jito and others what business they had with him. Then Mila comes forward and tells the girl that she had to ask him some troubling questions. She responds that, as the elder is no more in this world, in this case, only Buyut can answer your questions, but he is also currently away. Mila suggests to her cousins and Jito that they should wait for Buyut for a while. Therefore, all of them come to a guard post for their night stay. Yuda approaches another girl named Rati. He tells her that they are waiting for Buyut at the guard post. He says to her, "Can you let my sister stay in your house if you don't mind?" Unwillingly, she agrees to it. Rati takes Mila to her house and says if she feels hungry, she can take anything from the kitchen. She makes a humble request to Mila not to be noisy, as her mother is very sick. On this, Mila appreciates Rati for being helpful to her. During the course of the night outside, some people are seen passing by the guard post when Yuda and Arya were slumbering. As soon as the unknown people pass by there, the lantern puts out on its own. An unknown identity approaches Yuda but disappears as soon as Yuda lights the lantern again. At night, while having a glass of water, Mila hears a woman crying in pain from the adjacent door. She gets near the door and finds Rati's mother lying and crying in her bed. In the room, Mila discovers a woman who tells Mila that she has been waiting for her for so long. Soon the door shut automatically, causing Mila to recoil in fear. The next morning, when Rati goes to feed food to her mother, Mila interrupts her and asks her what kind of illness her mother has, but Rati doesn't answer this question and gets inside. Mila notices that Rati's mother is infected with some kind of curse, as her eyes are red and at the same time, black blood is coming out of her mouth. Mila finds it very disturbing, so she gets out and sits on the chair. She says to Rati, "My mother is in the same condition as your mother. Doctors can't explain the reason for my mother's condition. Her eyes have become red with some blisters on her face, so I brought a shaman to my house to cure my mother. He told me that your mother brought a sinister item that she must not have brought here at any cost." Mila asks what she brought here. Then the shaman gestures at the cupboard. Mila opens the cupboard and takes out a chest. When she opens it, she and Yuta find a silver bangle in it. The shaman let them know that this bangle came from a faraway village situated at the easternmost tip of Java Island. So return this item in time as soon as possible if you want to save your mother. In the present scene, Mila shows the silver bangle to Rati and tells her that she came to this village to return this bangle to its rightful owner. Then, Rati tells her that the village where you want to go is called Tapak Tilas, and no one is allowed to go there. If you have to know further about it, then you should wait for Buyut, as he knows ins and outs of this village. Next, Rati leads Mila and her cousins to the riverside so that the male can bathe there, and herself arrives with Mila at a ramshackle bathing house, once frequented by dancing girls. Rati tells Mila that this pool was employed by the dancers before they performed. Afterwards, Rati goes to take a shower in the makeshift bathing cabin, whereas Mila spots a woman bathing in the pool all alone. She goes into the pool, and the very next moment she sees the woman whom she had seen at Rati's house has come around her. The evil entity orders Mila to return the bangle immediately, meaning the silver bangle belongs to this witch. But after her departure, Mila finds herself encircled by numerous water snakes, causing her to freak out. Rati arrives there on time and takes her out of the pool. On the other hand, Arya, Jito and Yuta lose their way and reach a graveyard, where they discover graves wrapped with black cloth. Actually, these graves are of those people who didn't die naturally. At Rati's, Mila tells Yuta that when she was bathing in the pool, she saw many snakes around her, but all of a sudden, they disappeared. Arya also tells Mila about their encounter with a graveyard, where the graves were draped with black cloth. On finding strange things in this village, Yuta suggests to Mila that they should leave this weird village. In the meantime, Rati comes over there and asks them to keep waiting for Buyut's return, as there is no point in going back without returning the bangle to its owner. At night, Rati and Mila hear the sound of drums in a distant village, which scares both of them. Rati tells Mila that the sound of these drums is coming from the neighboring village. There is a place there where dancers practice. If you want, I can take you there. So following the sound of those drums, Rati and Mila set out towards the neighboring village, with Mila holding the silver bangle to return to the witch. Before long, both the young women reach the village and find dancers performing dance. Next, Yuta, Arya and Jito arrive at Rati's but find neither Rati nor Mila there. Yuta notices that the bangle is also no longer in the chest. They hear the cry of Rati's mother emanating from the room. Jito opens the door and gets scared at the horrifying state of Rati's mother. In the neighboring village, Rati and Mila arrive at the place where dancers are dancing frantically. Mila discovers the same witch there, who has been haunting her since her arrival in this village. Here, Rati is revealed to be working for the witch, as she introduces Mila to the witch. Mila can't believe her eyes on finding it. The witch extends her hand to have the bangle from Mila, who returns her bangle. The witch wears the bangle around her arm. Next, the witch tells Mila that she has not come there of her own will, but has been brought here, as it is I who sent the shaman to your house to bring you here. I made the shaman say all that. In the following scene, Jito, Arya and Yuta have been searching for Mila and Rati since her disappearance, and while looking for them, all the three men proceed towards some people, who seem to be some kind of necromancers. Yuta asks them if they have seen his sister. One of them shakes his head, so they begin to leave the place. But before that, one of necromancers gives some food to Jito, which he takes impatiently. After returning the bangle, Mila and Rati get away from there. Upon reaching home, Rati tells Mila that the name of the witch they just met is Badarauhi, and she is ruler of this forest. She promised me that if I helped her bring her bangle back, she would free her mother from the curse. Next, Rati sees that her mother's condition has worsened despite helping the witch. Seeing the spooky situation inside the house, Mila flees from Rati's house, but is found by Jito, Yuta, and Arya on the way. She insists on Yuta returning to her house, as she has to see her mother's condition. She tells them that she has returned the bangle to the witch. She says to Yuta and Arya, "I am anxious about my mother, lest the same thing should happen to her that happened to Rati's mother." Right then, they smell a foul stench in the room. Jito learns that the food that they took from the necromancers is stinky, so he unwraps it and finds a rotten monkey filled with maggots. Everyone gets into a flap having seen this. Rati's mother's condition is deteriorating after being cursed by the enchantress. At night, Mila's sleep is interrupted by a woman's voice which keeps on calling her. Following the voice, Mila reaches a room where her mother stands with red eyes. Mila's mother clinches her and says, "You don't need to save me, as you don't have any idea what you're going to face. Don't yield to any of Badarauhi's persuasion. Just go away from this inauspicious place." Soon, Mila's mother is possessed by Badarauhi, who begins to torment her. Mila bursts into tears, causing others to wake up. Rati also arrives there and sees that her mother is under the influence of Badarauhi. Badarauhi informs Rati and Mila that the souls of their respective mothers have been held hostage in Ankara Murka. The people of the village know very well what they have to do next. Saying this, Rati's mother begins tearing apart her skin. Right then, Buyut, the man of the hour, arrives there. Buyut asks Mila and her cousins why they brought that bangle back to the village. Now, Buyut starts telling how all this started. He tells Mila that her grandmother had told him to look after her mother. "Your grandmother deceived Badarauhi and took her bangle. Thereafter, your grandmother forced your mother to run away from the village with the bangle of Badarauhi because it was the source of her immense power, and she has been looking forward to getting her bangle back ever since. But all that time, your grandmother had to suffer the unimaginable pain as a result of her betrayal with Badarauhi. When all were sleeping at night, someone knocks on the door. Therefore, Yuta goes to open the door, but Buyut stops him and himself goes out to see. Buyut sees that a demonic entity is standing outside with his army. Next morning, villagers find that their cattle have been slaughtered. Seeing the situation of the village, it seems like some kind of curse has befallen upon the village. Apart from this, their crops have been ruined too. Then everyone moves to the decrepit bathing house and finds the pool infested with countless water snakes. Buyut spots Badarauhi in washroom. In the following scene, Buyut asks the girls of the village one by one to have a sip of coffee to spot the chosen girls for the upcoming ritual. He asks Rati how the coffee tastes. She responds, "Sweet." Now is Mila's turn to sit on the chair. She takes a sip of coffee and says the same that Rati said, meaning it tastes sweet, but when Yuta takes a sip of coffee, he calls it bitter. He blows up at Mila and asks her to leave the village right away. Then Buyut reveals that Mila has been chosen by Badarauhi as one of the dancers of the village. Only the chosen girls can find coffee sweet, whereas the rejected girls find coffee bitter. Now all the 7 chosen girls are getting ready by the elders of the village for the ritual to save the village from the wrath of Badarauhi. Out of these 7 chosen girls, one will do her duty as the chosen dancer and will protect this village in the years to come. Thereafter, all the 7 chosen girls, including Rati and Mila, head out to perform the ritual led by Buyut. In the next scene, all the chosen girls arrive at the ritual performing place. An elderly woman makes Mila eat a leaflet, and after eating which, she will keep on dancing without exhausting. Next, as soon as Mila smells her shawl, she is possessed for a while and begins dancing. Along with her, other 6 chosen girls, including Rati, begin to dance, whereas Buyut starts invoking Badarauhi. He says in her honor, "To the ruler of this forest, I offer these 7 dancers for your selection and save this village from the imminent catastrophe." Soon, out of 7 dancing girls, 5 dancing girls have fallen unconscious, except Mila and Rati, and this becomes a matter of concern, as Badarauhi has not chosen any dancing girl yet. Shortly, Badarawuhi herself appears there and whispers to Mila that she should accompany her. Following this, Mila also blacks out. Buyut rushes to her and asks her what she has seen. She responds, Badarawuhi, meaning Mila has been chosen by Badarawuhi. Buyut and other elders take Rati and Mila back to Rati's house. Actually, the souls of both Mila and Rati are now trapped in Ankara Murka. Yuta breaks down after finding Mila in this possessed condition. Now the soul of Mila wakes up in Ankara Murka. Here she bumps into a bunch of faceless little girls who constantly request Mila to play with them. In the real world, an army of evil entities comes outside Rati's home. Next, Mila walks into a hall where Badarawuhi is sitting in her throne. Badarawuhi summons some dancing girls who begin to dance around Mila. Here, Badarawuhi controls Mila and makes her dance. Badarawuhi introduces Mila to someone that Mila loves most in her life. It is Mila's mother, whose soul is also trapped here. Mila rushes to her mother, but other dancing girls hinder her way. Ingrid, mother of Mila, manages to meet her daughter. Ingrid says to Mila, I don't want you to get trapped here, so go home right now. Ingrid embraces her daughter and leaves her hand even if she doesn't want to. Mila gets back to the hall again, where Badarawuhi begins to force her to live with her. To make her agree, she starts inflicting pain upon Mila's mother. Shortly, all the evil dancing girls and Badarawuhi hear the howl of a wolf in the hall, which creates a distraction, and in the meantime, somehow or the other, Mila gets back to the real world, while the soul of Rati has been brutally killed by Badarawuhi in Ankara Murka, causing her to die even in the real world, and seeing this, Mila bursts into tears. Next day, while returning from the ominous village, Buyut tells Mila that she is the only dancer who returned safely from Ankara Murka. On this, Mila replies that she managed to get back from there just because of her mother, and saying this, she and her cousins, including Jito, the guide, leave the village for good. In the next scene, Mila arrives at her house where she finds her mother dead, and with this scene, this movie comes to an end.